What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to another weekly live Tuesday. Always a good day whenever we see a new day. Hope everybody is doing well. Let me set up these cords real quick, making sure I don't got nothing tangled before we start the show. Okay, we got that set up. Get a sip of this water real quick. Man, last week my throat was dying. Last week my voice was on the go. Pablo, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you, man. I hope you're doing well as well, man. I've been seeing the comments. I didn't get a chance to respond to anybody at the moment, but I'm gonna be in there tomorrow morning. Been a busy week. Lights out. What's going on, big dog, man? First and foremost, I appreciate your generosity, man. That really does mean a lot. Yeah, man, we hit 5K, man. You know, it's been a journey. You know what I'm saying? It's been a journey. I always want to do things a little bit different. There's a bunch of boxing content out there, bunch of good ones, man, but I wanted to provide something a little bit different. Right. I wanted to add mixed life to it and give a different perspective to it. And I didn't want to make it boring. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to make anything boring. I want to make sure I add some flair and a little bit of extra things to it, man. So again, I appreciate that. Truly, truly means a lot. I appreciate everybody rocking with me, man. It really does mean a lot. As long as you guys continue to show up, I'm going to continue to put the videos out, man. So I appreciate that, my brother. Appreciate you, man. We got a bunch of different things to discuss. Going to try to not be on here this long as we usually are, man. Get everybody out on a good time, a good standing. But we got a lot to discuss, man. March is a massive month for boxing, man. Some really great fights. Gonna be tough to beat the month of March, man. Especially now that we didn't get the Tyson Fury and Usyk fight in February. But I digress. We move forward. What's going on, everybody? About to touch on the rundown of what we're going to discuss. Again, I want to get your guys' thoughts on a lot of these stuff as well, too, man, especially with the Curiel and Nontshinga rematch in Foster and Nova happening at the same time. Man, it's kind of like one of those pick and choose type of deals. Yours, man. I appreciate that, man. My brother. Truly, man. Truly, I do, man. I always appreciate. Again, as I say it and I mean it, I don't take anyone's eyes or ears for granted. You know, I always try to give the best version of myself, hands down, when I can, every single time, every video, man. So I appreciate it. Let's get into it, man. For those that'll join a little bit later, for those that are here, let's get things going. Let's get things rocking. Let's get things moving, man. You know, so we're going to talk about, obviously, Foster and Nova. Nontshinga gets his revenge against Curiel. Bruce Carrington, I thought he made a nice statement against Torres. Cortes, Chevalier, a lot of thoughts on that one. Then we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that's happening this weekend. Obviously, Edgar Berlanga and Macquarie's fighting, and then Anka Haas and Inoue's fighting as well, too. Santiago Nakatani. Great fights happening this weekend, man. The book contest giveaway winner, I'll announce that. Cool down segment, quarter of the week, and then we'll get on out of here. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with O'Shaquie Foster. Split decision win over Abraham Nova. What do we think about this fight? Man, I was I'm not going to say surprised. I was always curious as to how the game plan is and how fighters game plan for each other. Obviously, we know Nova is a guy that can punch. We know he's a physical force, right? He's a guy that has good power, and he's a guy that if the right shot connects, it could be over with, right? And so I wasn't sure the engagement of what O'Shaquie Foster was going to do in that fight. We saw what he did against Rocky Hernandez. He was forced to engage a lot more because, they knew he was losing the fight. They knew if he was going to win that fight down there, he was going to have to stop him. So it was going to be interesting to see how they both navigate through the adjustments and how they both do it. And the interesting part for me was I feel like every time now Oshaki said it was an off night for him, but every time, well, in the past previous fights, for me personally, every time I've seen Oshaki Foster fight, it's like he shows us a little different side of him, right? He's showing us parts where he can outbox cats for 12 rounds. We saw that against Ray Vargas. We saw that if he needs to dig deep and tap into that deeper, that water, so to speak, that well, so to speak, that he can do that. And he did that against Rocky Hernandez. And I felt like against Nova, he showed us a part of him where you could see that some of the stuff that he was trying to do, the plan wasn't fully going according to plan. And so he needed to find different ways how to get his shots off, when to be aggressive, how he had to be wary of the power of Nova, right? And we saw him just find a way to win, because I felt like once he got the stinger on his left arm, his left or his right arm, he stopped pushing that right arm forward. It was just jab. And so in competition in high pressure situations, sometimes you just got to find a way how to win. And I felt like he did that. Against Vargas, he just outboxed him. We saw the boxing ability, the speed, all of that. Against Hernandez, we saw someone digging deep, finding the will and the strength to come out on top. And if he needs to go and get the stoppage, like, I can do that too. And then against Nova, I felt like we saw a version of him and a different side of him that said, man, I can find a way to win the fight. However the fight's going, I can find a way to win and come out on top. And I thought that's what he did. Now, a lot of people were talking about Nova was kind of talking about the knockdown, saying that he slipped. I understand why, he may say that, but for me personally, I thought he got clipped with the left hand as he was trying to evade and get out the way, and he got clipped. So the other thing for me, before I check in the comments, again, I got a personal relationship with Nova. I don't know Oshaki Foster personally, but I always got to be honest. If it wasn't for the knockdown, it would have been a draw. I didn't see it like that. I thought it was a Oshaki Foster win, not split decision. I thought it was kind of unanimous, but that's me. So what do you guys think about this fight? What do you guys think of Oshaki Foster's performance? What do you think of Nova's performance? What did you like? What didn't you like? Let me know in the comments, and we're going to go right there. But again, and I tweeted this as after the fight too. I thought it was just a good, solid fight. Just a good, solid fight. No, no out of the question stuff. No headbutts. None of that stuff. I thought it was just a good, solid fight from both performance. And what I liked about the ref, I forgot his name, man. He let those guys work out of the clinches. Sometimes ref come in and they stop the clinch 2 seconds. But he let them work out of the clinches, man. And so sometimes it's nice to see that. But again, I like the fight. Thought it was a good fight. And on the night, the right person won the fight. Okay, you guys ready to? Yes, sir. Nontshinga, yes. Berlanga must KO to get back on track now. Yes, absolutely, man. Pablo, we're gonna get there. Oshaki looked great when he switched stance. Yes, absolutely. I think sometimes I even forget that Oshaki is a switch hitter. You know what I'm saying? He can do that. I thought he made great adjustments, man. And he may not think that it was the best performance or an off night, but sometimes you just got to find a way to win the fight, man. It's not like Nova is chopped liver. He's a good opponent. You got to be careful when you're fighting Nova. So I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a good, solid fight. And not every fight's going to be smooth sailing, man. Sometimes you just got to dig deep and find a way to get it done. And I felt like he did that. Jay, man, what's going on, my man? What's going on, man? Good to see you down here, man. Good to see you. Yeah, Nova losses. Yeah, absolutely. But you can also tell, too, that Nova's team, they prepared well, watched tape well for one stance. And then once Oshaki switched stance, it was kind of just a little different story. He didn't really know what to do. And that's when Oshaki started smiling and laughing a little bit, because he was just like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I thought Nova's team had a great game plan, but you're never really sure how the plan is going to go fully And then when you have a switch hitter, it's just like, well, okay, now it's going to take me a couple rounds to figure out how to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Kenny Bayless, man, he is like arguably like one of the funniest referees that I've seen in quite some time, man. He is hilarious, but he lets them get in, like he lets them fight out of the clinches. Like he gonna step back and he gonna watch and he gonna let you rock out and he gonna let you fight, man. So I like Bayless, man. He's he's funny. He's funny. I won 120. Oh man, you was doing it big right there on a $50 bet on Mauricio Lara Lugo outcome ending in a draw. This past odds were 250. Hey man, shout out to you, man. I know that felt good. I didn't get to see that fight. I just saw clips of that fight. Man, Lara looks a little bit different. I don't know what version of Lara that was from what I saw, but again, I got to watch it in its entirety, man. But that's what's up, man. Thanks for sharing that. Glad that you had a nice come up weekend, man. That's what I'm talking about. Definitely a good fight. Both fighters were engaged. Steve Willis is a great referee. My man Henry, what's going on, big dog? Good to see you down here, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you tuning in, man. My man Chris, what's going on, man? What's going on? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. My brother Francisco, good solid fight. Nice boxing in the first half. Then he heated up. Foster finished strong. Foster can make some good fights at 130. Cordina, man, he was going back and forth with who? Was it Roach that they were going back and forth with? I think I saw that on Twitter or something like that. But, man, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to, or Cordina doesn't want to fight him. I thought that would be a great fight. I'd love to see that. Man, you know what I want, my brother Francisco, man? I want to see everybody unite the division, man. I want to see one champ. And I'm saying, like, I want to see one champ. Hopefully this is the year of more undisputed, you know what I'm saying? But I'd love to see it. The best fighting the best fighting the best. And it's always interesting whenever I hear fighters talking about the money aspect of things, right? If you fight the best, you're going to make the money. You know what I'm saying? So I never really understood, like, why are we holding out for too long? You know what I'm saying? You fight the best, you're going to make the money that you want to make. But, sometimes 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2 in boxing, man. Steve Willis, not. Oh, you don't like Bayless? Oh, J-Man, man, you don't like Bayless? Come on, man. Foster, just like Hernandez, fight. The knockdown wins him the fight. The man is clutch. Barnstormer over Navarrete or Roche next to unify, man. Give me Navarrete, man. But the thing with Navarrete, as we've talked about before, like, he didn't look good in his last fight against Conceição, but then he might fight O'Shaquie Foster and look great. Like, you just never know. But at least for me, I think these are both fights that O'Shaquie can win, man. I think O'Shaquie, after the performances that we've seen of him back to back now, it's like, man, I think at 130, I think he might be the hardest one to take the belt away from, in my opinion, so it's going to be interesting, man. I would love to see Navarrete. I would love to see that fight. But again, I know he always has problems with his weight and the fluctuation of it. And I thought that it was the thing that Shakur retired from. I thought doesn't he have like some type of belt, able to fight for a belt at 135? I don't remember if that was the complete reason, but I thought it was something like that. I could be wrong. By the way, Sugar Nunez looked fantastic against Rakimov. I think Cordina is by far the weakest champion in 130. Man, I didn't get to see that fight, but I think Sugar made himself now a name to be talked about, because Rakimov is a quality opponent. How he was able to stop him, especially later in the half of the fight, man, that elevates you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be nice. Cordina, I like Cordina, man. I like Cordina. But we'll see. We'll see. Lara has the glass body form from what it seems like, man. He was looking very to the body like Keith one-time Thurman. Very soft. Very soft to the body. You know what I'm saying? Very soft to the body. But I got to go back and check it. I got to go back and watch the full fight. Cordina didn't want to fight him. Yeah, that's what I've been seeing, what I've been hearing. I'd love to see it, man. I think they would both bring the best out of each other. But again, You don't fight somebody because of what you see, and probably from what he's seen, man, maybe he doesn't have it to really dig deep like that and get it done. Skill for skill wise, be interesting, but sometimes, man, you gotta dig a little bit deeper than skill. I'd love to see it. Will it happen? Who knows? If it does happen, it'd probably be somewhere in Europe, right? Blessings to the chat. Sean T, what's going on, my man? What's going on, my man? Good to see you down here, man. Good to see you. Me and you have been having some good conversations back and forth in the comments, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate that, Pablo. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. That correction. Cordina will vacate belt and move to lightweight. Man, I wouldn't be surprised by that. You know, April 3rd, Christie, Texas co-main. Willis Ortiz, F. Jabba gotta get. Who is Jared Anderson fighting? Like, no disrespect to my man. I'd never heard of my man before. I'm obviously going to break that one down, but do you guys know about that guy? Like, I've never heard of him. Give me some insight on him. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know about him. Sometimes I see Jared Anderson pop up and I'm like, yo, who? You know, no disrespect by no means. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Corpus Christi, man. Shout out to everybody in Texas, man. Nunes demolishes Cordina. Hey, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Nunes is big. Yo, he's a big dude. He's a big dude. I wasn't expecting that size. We got some action in the zone tonight. Man, I saw that briefly. The card already started. Luis Ortiz. Yep. Ortiz in a Jogba. When was the last time? Who did Ortiz fight last? Didn't he fight somewhere in his home country, like really low key? Nah, yeah. I don't know, but I like King Kong though, man. But yeah, and whatever happened to Andy Ruiz? Like, is my man still fighting? Like what's up with my man? Like, I haven't seen Andy Ruiz in a while. But again, just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on it before we move forward here. Before we talk about this right here, I'm gonna set this right here before we get into it. I'm gonna answer some more comments. Nontshinga gets his revenge against Carell, 8th round stoppage. Gather your thoughts. Let's talk about this one right here. Mar the Machine, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. I appreciate you. First time here, I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate that, my man. Thank you for tuning in. Lenny, what's going on, my man? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you down here. Appreciate you tapping in and saying hello, man. Much love. He fought Ruiz last, I'm sure. Yeah, you might be right, man. But I thought I saw somewhere where he fought like a low-key fight and got like a light stoppage. You know what I'm saying? But yo, that fight was a while ago, wasn't it? Like, man. Sugar Ray, what's going on? Man? First time. What's going on, my man? Thank you for taking the time to tune in, my man. I appreciate you, man. We got a lot of things happening in the chat, man. We always have a good conversation, always have a good show. We got a lot to discuss as we move forward here. Let's touch on Nontshinga. Again, this was a fight that, you know, Foster and Nova were going on at the same time. And I was trying to tee one up, but it's like you're going back and forth. And so I just pick one and say, I'm going to catch this one back a little bit later. Man, you know what this fight kind of reminded me of? Again, the first fight I thought Nontshinga would be able to get it done, but he got clipped. The second fight, I was thinking to myself, and how I always approach rematch, you know, you never know how someone is going to take getting hit, especially if they got knocked out the fight before, because now every shot that is thrown, you're thinking about, yo, I'm kind of scared because I don't want it to clip me. So I'm thinking, man, you know, it's a smaller ring. It's in Mexico. Curiel's got the momentum, even though I still thought that Nontshinga from an entirety, I thought he was the better fighter, but sometimes the better fighter doesn't always win the fight. But man, it seemed like Nontshinga was trying to beat Curiel at his own fight. Like, they was both right in front of each other, right inside the pocket, trading shots. The body work from both men was really nice. They both targeted the body really well. And so for me, when I saw the separation of the fight was the closing round of, I think it was round 9 or 10, when Curiel got caught with the left hand that rocked him against the ropes, and Nontshinga just went and tried to close out the show, but he wasn't able to. And then the round ended. And then from there, you could start to see Nontshinga starting to unload a little bit more. The power we're starting to showcase a little bit more. And quite frankly, Curiel looked a little bit gassed, a little bit tired, because I thought he was doing some good work to the body throughout the fight. Both men were going back and forth. But once the shot happened with the left counter that Nontshinga had hit Curiel with, felt like you could see momentum was really starting to change. And when I was looking at the stoppage, I watched the fight twice. When I was looking at the first time, I was like, man, ref, that was a little bit of an early stoppage. But then I watched it again, and I'm like, man, Curiel just, man, he was very defenseless. Like, he was trying to return fire and couldn't do anything. And even when he was ducking, every time he was coming up to try to throw, he would be getting clipped. Even if the shots weren't like heavy thudding punches, it was consistent. And so when he wasn't throwing anything back, when I watched it the second time, I was like, okay, that's a good stoppage. So got to give the hats off to Nontshinga, man, for what he was able to do, for how he was able to come back. You look at the scorecards, and he needed that knockout to win it because he was down bad. Wasn't about to get the nod there, but for him to be able to turn it on towards the end of the fight, took advantage of the fighter who was slowing down and find that energy to get the stoppage, to let your hands go at the right time, that must feel good. That must feel good for him. So shout out to him, man. Shout out to the special one, Nontshinga. What did you guys think about this fight? How did you feel about it? And then I also heard Sonny Edwards was thinking about, man, I could be a two division champ. I could go back, wait. Dude, you want to see that fight? If it does happen, do you want to see that fight? And would that be something you'd be interested in? Honestly, I don't really want to see a depleted Sonny Edwards sucked down to fight in that division, especially when Nontshinga is a much bigger puncher than him, right? So it could be interesting. But again, credit to Nontshinga, man. I didn't think he'd be able to pull it off. Not that it was impossible by no means, but the odds are very stacked against them. And if Curiel just tied up like he was kind of doing throughout the whole fight, both men kind of were, he would have won that fight, but wasn't in his favor that night, man. So shout out to him for getting his title back. Michael Brown, what's going on, man? Which Inoue, Takuma or Naoya? Which one? Shout out to the recap of the fights this past weekend. Not too many boxing channels on YouTube have recap videos. You know what, man? I used to do them I used to dedicate like a full video to them. But when I was creating the weekly show, I actually wanted to talk about it in real time. Sometimes, we be recapping the videos, and I want to talk about it with you guys because maybe you saw something different that I didn't see. And I want to be able to get that real-time correction just in case we, whether we're on the same page or we're not. So that's why I decided to do the weekly show as part of the recap so we can still discuss it because, there's always a little bit of wait between fight to the next fight. And so we might as well talk about the fight that happened as we wait for the next fight, man. So I appreciate that, man. Didn't see Nontshinga revenge coming, to be honest, but fair play. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I didn't think that he would be able to do it, but shout out to him. Shout out to him. Ortiz fought somebody named Cordero on January 13th. Yes, that's what I knew. He fought a low key fight, and so round one. Yeah, man. I like King Kong, but he hasn't. The joints are not functioning as well as it used to. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what he does next. Again, gonna be interesting, man. If he is fighting F.A. Ajagba, that would be a good name on F.A. Ajagba's resume. Biting, he does get past him, but really wouldn't say too much in my opinion because it's like, no disrespect to King Kong Ortiz, but he could be 51, 52, 53. Like, what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know if it would be that big of a win if he does it, but he has all to lose as well, too. If King Kong beats him, Yeah, we'll talk about that one. It's almost as if Nontshinga was doing the rope a dope start. Man, you're not the first to say that, my brother, man. I've been seeing a bunch of people say that as well too. The pace of the first round, whoo, crazy fast. I'm like, yo, they're not gonna be able to keep this up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's definitely saw that. Nontshinga turned the screw after halfway through the fight. Man, he really showed up at the right time, man. And credit to him, because he was able, how he won his title the first time, he went to Mexico and did it again. You know what I'm saying? He did it the first time, then came back and got his title back. So shout out to him, man. I know that's got to feel good. I know that's got to feel good. Nontshinga game plan was brilliant. Honestly, a fight in the close distance for 7 rounds turned a bit boring for me, but after that, oh man, what a surprise was Nontshinga's adjustments, man. It's also kind of like him standing in the pocket was kind of him saying, look, I can take your power. I can take your power, man. Like what you hit me with, that was just a lucky shot. And he looked like he was fighting with someone to prove. Like he was really sitting down on those punches as well, too. I'm not mad at it. Apparently, yeah, that's what he was saying. I don't want to Sonny drop back down the weight. I don't want to see Sonny at that weight either, man. How about if Nontshinga moved to? Yeah, yeah. I'd like that better. I'd like that better. I would like that better, my brother Francisco. Absolutely. I'd like that better. I don't know how Nontshinga survived all those punches to the body and arms, not to mention the high altitude and time zone favored Curiel from a cardio perspective as well. Yeah, everything was leaning to Curiel, right? And so it was one of those things where you're just sitting there like, man, if he is able to pull this off, like, what can you say apart from possible trilogy? I heard that happening as well too. Basically, Ortiz fought someone he found next to the bins. I mean, it would look like that. Ortiz is Chisora level. Man, I wouldn't even mind seeing Ortiz and Kubrat Pulev. Like, I wouldn't even mind seeing that, but I don't know if he can keep up with the Jogba right now. If that's the route that he wants to take. Don't know how Nontshinga had energy after all those punches he absorbed the body, not to mention the high altitude times on figure outfit. Yep. Hey, man, Nontshinga wanted it too, man. Got to give him that as well, too. I meant the Edgar Berlanga fight. That's going to be a tough one. Edgar Berlanga and McCory. We'll talk about that one real quick. I believe Nontshinga could have got him out of there faster if he kept the fight in the center of the ring. I felt like, man, Nontshinga he was trying to prove a point, and he made his point, and he proved it. Ngannou should fight Ortiz, basically. Oh, man, easy. I think that's an easy win for Ngannou. But Ngannou's having a great boxing career without winning a fight. Great boxing career. Let's move forward, man. Shout out to Nontshinga, man. Shout out to you. You got your revenge. You got your belt back, man. Whether you fight Sonny or whoever you fight next, man, you earned it. You earned it. Let's move forward, man. Shushu Carrington stops Bernard Torres in 5. When I was making the video, man, I really liked what I saw of Torres. Like he looked a little mix of Manny Pacquiao-ish, but he looked explosive. He looked strong, a guy who can punch, a guy who was crafty. Like, he looked good to me. But I was watching the fight and I was just like, man, I don't know if he really can take a punch just yet. I don't know if he can really take someone who is just as twitchy, just as athletic as he is. And so I felt like Shushu would stop him. I thought it was going to happen a little bit later. But the thing with Shushu, when he steps inside of the ring, man, and we saw that in Sanchez when he fought Sanchez last and stopped him, I feel like every time Shushu is stepping into a fight, he's fighting with this level of maturity, with this level of poise, with this level of confidence and belief that it doesn't matter who is in this ring with me, I'm going to win this fight. I believe every professional athlete believes that they are going to win whatever it is that they're a part of. Doesn't matter what sports you are. Every single sport you expect. You're thinking that you're going to be the best. You're thinking that, but it's one thing to think it, and it's another thing to believe it. And every time I see Shushu fight, I'm like, man, this is a young man who believes that he is who he says he is. He believes that, look, Naoya Inoue is coming up, but I believe that I can beat him. And every time that he fights, he shows us a little bit something different. I felt like it was a really good fight, man. He was able to cut off the ring. He was able to showcase the body work. He was able to showcase just being one step ahead of an athletic, explosive fighter in Bernard Torres. So I was really impressed with how he was able to close out that show. That counter left hand, one shot, drop, it was over with. Like, it was over with. But Torres didn't even see it coming. It was so quick. Like, it was a great shot, a great punch. But what I like about Shushu, man, is the fact that he always acts like he's been there before, and he comes in with something to prove, and he's fighting with a lot of, I'm going to say, a little bit of tension, because you got to have certain tension when you're fighting, but just a level of poise and maturity that you need to see before they take that next step up. You know what I'm saying? So I like what Shushu did, man. It was a very good fight. I thought Bernard Torres was a very good opponent. He got the short end of the stick on the night. And how about that Shushu Carrington being able to quote Mike Tyson after that performance? He changed up the words a little bit, but the fact that he remembered what Mike Tyson said during one of his post-fight interviews, word for word, I was impressed by that as well too. What do you guys think about this fight? What do you guys think about this fight? All right. Here we go. Andy Cruz on the undercard of Berlanga card should be a really good display of his skills. Absolutely. Especially he was able to get a stoppage in his last fight, and he needed that stoppage in his last fight. My man Lenny, I missed your comment right here. I have some money on Anka Haas. Hope he wins. Man, we're going to talk about that real quickly, man. We're going to talk about that in just a second here. Oh, man, Henry says, is Bruce Carrington the chosen one? You know, that's such a great question, man. I'm going to, personally, I'm going to hold off a little bit longer to say that. I think sometimes, you know, you hear the announcers kind of really say, oh, this guy is this and that, this and that. All those qualities are there, absolutely. But for me, I always like to just wait a little bit more, man. I think he has the potential to be there, that potential to be a champion. He has all of the makings up for it. And I believe he has the grit and the mental fortitude and the skill. But as competition picks up, we're going to see. I believe he's got all the goods, Henry. I believe he does. But time will tell if he is that chosen one, you know. So I like it. I like the performance. Who do you think is a good step up for Shushu? Who is a good step up for Shushu? That's a good question, man. Let me think about that one. You know, I'd love to see him. I don't know the full rankings off the top of my head, but I would love to see him in there with the top 8 guys. I got to go back and check out that list. I'm hoping that he fights maybe 3 more times this year. 2 more times, because I think one more fight, he's out of this whole prospect category. And then I think he moves into that challenger aspect of things. But again, I would love to see him against those top 8 guys. I don't know the full rankings from 1 to 8, from 1 to 10. So I got to go back and go there. But I really like what I saw of Shushu. Who do you think he should face next? My memory sometimes be bad, man. But again, Shushu is in there now in that prospect category with some of the younger guys, right? Let me think about that one, man. That one would be. There's so many good talent coming up. You know what I'm saying? So many good talent coming up, and you see how different and similar a bunch of them are at the same time. You know, so there's and Top Rank always has a good crop of young fighters underneath they're stable, man. I think Top Rank has the right vision when it comes to who is going to be the future of next. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many Olympians in this crop that are going to be really good. I'm still not sure how Richard Torres is. Since we're talking about the young crop, I'm still not sure how good that he is, because he is in those young mix of crop as well too. Know he can punch, know he can move, know he's explosive, but from that young crop, Shushu, Keyshawn, Abdullah, Torres. I think Shushu might be the best one out of all of them, in my opinion. In my opinion. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing. Let's touch on this one right here before we move forward. Man, Cortes bullied Chevalier. Man, I thought Chevalier was going to be much better than what he showed on the night. This one was not how I expected it to. I thought he was going to not get sucked into fighting Cortez's fight. I thought he was a much better fighting off of the back foot. I don't know what the case was, but that did not look like the guy that I saw on the tapes, at least not 100%. So I always felt like in this fight as well too, if Cortes could be physically imposing and make it tough for the taller, rangier fighter, then Chevalier would have some problems, but not problems like this, man. So I was actually very impressed with what I saw from Cortes. He just bullied him. He just bullied him out physical. He was too physical for him. The placement of his punches was too. It was just a really good, complete fight, man. So shout out to Cortes, man. He is better than I thought. I had some questionable things from my eyes, my perspective. And so what I saw on the night makes me a believer of him moving forward, man. The thing about him too is he always comes in and doesn't always look the best in shape to me. So sometimes you question, how serious is he taking his preparation? But I was wrong. Chevalier looked overwhelmed. He looked gassed out. Looked like he didn't know how to really handle the physical pressure, the body shots. It just wasn't his night. Cortes completely took away whatever game plan that Chevalier had, because the adjustments he did not make. He got bullied. He got walked through. It wasn't a pretty fight. It was not a pretty fight. Shout out to Cortes, man. I was definitely wrong in this one. I was definitely wrong in this one, big time. So shout out to Cortes, man. Did your thing. You did your thing. Definitely did your thing. Umbili calling out Munguia proper fight. I sure hope so. I hope it happens. And somebody getting knocked out in that one. Somebody getting knocked out. Shushu versus Robezi would be a matchup we see, both with Top Rank. Yeah, that would be a good fight too. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Robezi is taking that rematch clause against Espinoza. And so, but that would be a good fight as well too, man. Can Shushu beat Robezi? That would be an interesting fight from a tactical standpoint. How would they both? What would the game plan be? But that's a fight to keep in mind, my brother Henry. That's a fight to keep in mind. Chris, what's going on, man? Good to see you. I was on the fights on Friday. Shushu had fight of the night, in my opinion, and he made a statement doing it too. Not mad at that, man. Not mad at that, man. Thank you for sharing that, man. Chris, how was the atmosphere in general? Like, was it loud? Was it packed? Were people screaming? Like, what was the atmosphere there like? I always like to know what the atmosphere was like, because we can't really hear everything when we're watching it on TV. So let me know what the atmosphere was like, man. Robezi mindset has to be a mess after being defeated by Espinoza. Man, it would be interesting to see like what he felt like went wrong from his perspective, because even though he got knocked down towards the end of the fight, he said he still thought that he won that fight, right? So interesting. I would love to know how he feels and what the game plan is moving forward. There's people that have said, man, Robezi doesn't take his conditioning seriously. Like, he doesn't do road work. I don't know. That's just speculation. I have no idea what's going on there. But yeah, we'll see. And, he already has a loss, and now he's got 2 losses. If you get a 3rd loss, man, companies tend to kind of forget about you and kind of forget that you're with them. I don't like the fact that Fundora is fighting for a title after getting knocked out. Yeah, man. I'm with you on that, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see what even he is like. Sometimes those losses really take a toll with you. Gary Keene, what's going on, Gary? Yes, I did see that. Man, I don't know, man. I have a feeling this fight could be very boring. You know what I'm saying? Could be wrong, but I don't know. I have a feeling that it could be. Shushu and Abdullah Mason are the truth. Absolutely, Sean. I agree, man. Top rank, great stable of fighters, man. Let's keep it pushing. Let's talk about this week. Edgar Berlanga fight week. Fighting McCrory, Takuma Inoue, Juran Ancajas, Santiago defending that belt against Junto Nakatani. Let's start with Berlanga, McCrory first before we talk about the rest, or even just whatever you guys want to talk about here. We'll touch on all of them all at the same time. So for me, I still feeling to go with Berlanga to stop McCrory. Man, I feel like, as my man Pablo B said earlier, I feel like this is a fight where Berlanga does need to get a stoppage here, even if he doesn't. I know a lot of people always talk about the stoppage. I feel like he does need to get a stoppage, but if he gets a couple knockdowns and dominates the fight and show us a little bit more of the stuff that he's been working on, that's a good quality win, right? So I feel like he will stop McCrory in the latter rounds, but I feel like this is a fight where Edgar Berlanga, we want to see him dominate the fight. We want to see him be able to take the opportunity to close out the show if his opponent is hurt. So that's going to be a good fight. Still rocking with Berlanga. Nothing has changed for me in that sense. Inoue and Ancajas, as I said in the video, man, it is going to be tough for Ancajas to come out of this fight victorious if he is not definitive in a greater part of this fight, or he doesn't get or if he can get a stoppage, because you're coming down to Japan to fight Inoue, a name that is already popular because of his brother. And I will say, Inoue, I saw a recent photo of him. He looks strong. He looks cut. He looks ready. He looks in shape. So he's going to be confident, especially how well he looked in his last fight. He's at home. Ancajas is coming down to him to fight him in the home. So it's going to be interesting. But Ancajas is a proven guy, man. I feel like even though his back is against the wall here, I feel like he can still come out on top. The interesting part was, Inoue pulled out of the fight the first time because of rib injury. Ancajas goes and snatches up that body really nicely. And if I'm him, that's a target for me. The moment the fight starts, I'm going to the body and I'm hitting everything, So even though I feel like, the safer bet would be Inoue winning this fight, probably by decision, because he's not a big puncher like that. That would be the safer bet. He's the home fighter. Things are moving in his favor. I'm still rolling with Ancajas because I believe that he can come in and upset the champion again. And I really feel like he's going to come in with a good game plan, and he's going to be able to come out away with the victory. I don't know how that victory comes. If he can target the body early and get that ribs nice and sore and agitated again, I can see a body shot taken out Inoue. But, maybe he can get a couple knockdowns as well too. But his back is against the wall, man. But I'm rocking with the underdog in this one, man. We're gonna switch things up and rock with the underdog in this one. Again, let me know what your guys' thoughts on all of these fights. If something changed for you, maybe you saw something different as you're watching tape, let me know in the comments. We'll touch on that. Santiago is coming off of the biggest fight of his career to win the title. Again, as I said in the video, this is a guy who got the short end of the stick on some of the draws in his career. And now he got the title, and now he has to defend that title against someone who is probably one of the best, if not the best in the division. Like, Nakatani is a problem. Doesn't mean he can't be beaten. I think Santiago can definitely beat him. No man is unbeatable, but it's tough. It's tough. rolling with Nakatani to win this fight, man. I think it goes the full 12 rounds. I think it goes to decision. So nothing has changed for me on my thoughts on the guys that the breakdown on the ones that I've picked. I'm expecting some drama in at least one of these fights. Just don't know which one is going to be the more drama filled one, but going to be a good fight. Let's get to these comments. Let's check out what you guys got to say. And here, oh man, Chris said it was packed and energetic all night long. When Shushu came out, the New York crowd were ecstatic. The main event, everyone was rooting for Nova. We are we are all salty. Foster won the fight. I hear you, man. I hear you, man. Shout out to both of these guys, man. I appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate you checking that out for me, man, and taking the time to let me know how the atmosphere was, man. Taylor Catterall is what the UK has been missing. Proper UK dust up. Two fighters who hate each other. None of the hugging nonsense. I love the build up already. Only just started, man. I'm sure this is going to be a big fight, man. I hope it is different than the first fight. Hope it's more exciting than the first fight. I think this is going to be somewhat difficult fight for Berlanga. I think that he should win, though. Yeah, I think everybody gives Berlanga a little bit of problems, especially at the beginning. There's a couple rounds throughout the fight. It's just, can he make the adjustments to figure it out at the right time? And he's also got, when you got the power behind you as well, too, that makes things a little bit sweeter when you do connect, man. So going to be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully he doesn't force the fight and get himself countered and get himself clipped. Tacoma and his brother Shadow Uncas is a problem for Tacoma, man. I agree. We're on the same page there, my man. Akeem, do you think Shushu being vegan can affect his health long term, like punch resistance, injuries, dealing with bigger power punchers? I think about many vegan boxers who struggled long term. That's such a great question, man. That's such a great question. I think if he does it correctly and he has the right nutritional pieces and he's not missing anything. And I say that because, I have a background in nutrition. That was my minor in college and something that I take very, very, very seriously. Even to this day, man, like, I still eat a certain way, not fully vegan, me personally, but, there are 3 times out the week I go vegetarian, 2 times out the week I go vegetarian. So I think it just depends if he is getting the right nutrition and getting the right substance to his body, like it's going to be fine. He's going to be leaner. He's going to be less inflamed. So there are certain things that will help him if he does not let the nutrition slip, because there's so many different things nowadays in this time, in this era, that can work in his favor. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe not so much. It's a different time. There's so many different things that helps athletes now. So as long as he's mentally sharp and he's energetic in his training, which he seems to be treating him well so far, seems like he'll be able to hold it up. As long as he does not let things slide. He's got to be on his vitals every single time before he's in a fight, man. But I don't see it being a problem. As long as he's still sharp and he's firing, I don't think it's going to be a problem long term. I actually think that it could probably help him. Good question, man. I think that anybody will outbox him. That's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility, Sean. I never change my prediction once I make them. Yeah, you and me both. You and me both. It's always interesting, man, whenever people lose the fights and people pop up in the comments and say, "Oh man, Akeem, bro, you got to take this video down, bro, because the guy you picked didn't win." I said, "Bro, it's a fight. Like, anything can happen." And it's always people popping out of the woodworks who I've never seen in the comments before want to talk crazy. I'm just like, man, hindsight is 2020, man. So I don't change it either, my brother, man. It is what it is. It's boxing. Anything can happen at any given night. Berlanger asked for memos. Training focus on cardio, help us fight. Oh, okay. We're gonna see, my man Pablo. We're gonna see. Shout out to Berlanga, man, for doing his thing. Nakatani too good for Santiago. Man, Nakatani's sweet, man. That man nice. Nakatani beats Santiago. He hits hard with both fists. Great timing. Man, that's a future. I think that's a guy that can be undisputed, man. That man's cold. I really like him. Colton, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you on the live for the first time, man. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you, man. Santiago gets stopped by Nakatani. Screenshot this. Canelo next 3 opponents. All right, chat. Everybody on. Let's take a mental note of what my man Chris said. Next 3 opponents: Charlo, Munguia, Berlanga. You know that's not out of the woodworks either. You know, Berlanga might find his way to stop in there, and then Canelo might retire and say, you know what, I'm done. But the one thing I do like about Canelo is if he says he's going to fight 3 times or twice, whatever the case is, he is going to fight that amount of time. So shout out to Canelo, man. Shout out to Canelo. Do you bet money for your picks? No, man, I do not. I do not. The state I'm in actually doesn't. The state that I am in actually doesn't do it yet. I think they actually do it March 11th, I believe. But no, man, I've never really got into the betting side of things. I probably should. You know, I've had a lot of people told me that they've made a lot of money on some stuff, man. But, you know, again, I never really know who is the favorite in any of the fights. Like, I really don't know unless someone tells me, because I don't look up that stuff. So sometimes when you guys are telling me, oh, he's the favorite or he's minus that, like, yo, it's the first I'm hearing about it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, you know, and probably get into that a little bit later, man. Getting that a little bit later. I don't change my predictions either, but I don't predict till fight week. That's one thing about you. That's one thing about you. Sometimes, Briss, yep. Sometimes I do. And I don't usually do that. You know, I usually try to do it like a week before as well, too. But, man, you guys be hounding me in the comments, hounding me in the DMs. So I'm like, let me go ahead and try to get this up. There are some picks that I should have waited a little bit until the weigh-in. I'm just like, yo, something is a little bit different. This guy looks better than I thought. So definitely. Keep our runner of 4 years, running the Brooklyn half in May. I hit the wall at 6-7 miles. What can I do to work on to beat that physical and mental barrier? I personally start huffing and puffing at 6-7 miles. Man, here is the double-edged sword here, my man Chris. First and foremost, man, hats off to you, brother. It is no joke to be able to run that long, man. I was a sprinter, so I'm very short and sweet. My wife does the longer stuff, so she could give you a little bit more insight on that. So let's do this, Chris, man. Let's connect in away from here, and then I'll be able to give a little bit more tips your way that could possibly help, because my wife has way more endurance background than I do, and she can run forever. You know what I'm saying? She was a world champ, so she'll be able to give you some more physical tips, and then I can help you with some mental stuff as well too. But let's have a personal discussion on that, man. Let's find some connection, whether on social media or just send me an email or comment on one of the videos, and we'll reach out and find it that way, man. So haven't forgotten about you, Chris. We're going to discuss a little bit offline, man, because, again, I want to give you good information. I'm a sprinter, not a mile guy, but my wife will be able to give you some more information on that, man, because, again, she was a world champion in the 100 meters, and she's ran a couple miles, definitely a lot of miles in her career as well, too. What do you think about I have to go back and watch a little bit more of the tape on that, man. I don't want to give you information that I have not reviewed, both of them and his recent fight as well too. I'd have to watch some more tape. I don't want to lie to you. That's one thing I don't want to do. If I haven't seen anything refresh, I'm not going to give you an answer that I don't know. If anyone in the chat has seen the recent fight of him, what he looks like in his recent fight, definitely drop in the comments and we'll touch on that. But if you give me some time, man, I'll be able to give you a little bit more of my thoughts in that regard. Your breakdowns be way too early, in my opinion. Definitely should do a week. Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. We gonna see. Definitely, bro. Definitely do that, man. Definitely do that. Definitely do that. And we'll figure out some ways how we can go about that, man. All right, let's keep it pushing. Any last thoughts? Let's keep it pushing. Book contest giveaway. We're gonna do this one real quick. I'm hoping that they are in the chat. If not, we'll figure out a different way how to announce that, get them the book. So we had a bunch of different, we had about 20 people on here. And the question was, who is the fighter that lost his 41st fight and then went on to win his next 88 fights? You know, and that was one of the a question for all my historians in the sport, right? And the answer was Sugar Ray Robinson, man. He lost his 41st fight to, what was his name? Joe Labata or something like that. And then the man went on to win his next 88 fights. Well, 88 wins, and then he had 2 draws during that process. So that's a crazy stat. So the answer, Sugar Ray Robinson. Winner is Tanya Brewer, 4391. Tanya Brewer, if you are in this chat, please DM me on social, or I'll find you, and then we'll get that sorted out, and I'll get the book signed and sent out to you sometime next week. So appreciate everyone that took the time to enter the little giveaway, man. Again, just wanted to find a way to give something back to the community for how much you guys support me. You know, we're going to do another one probably at 10K. Think I might give away a gift card for that one. But again, much love to every single one of you, man. I really appreciate you guys rocking with me. And so want to do more giveaways like that as my appreciation and respect to each of you, man, for the support and the love that you guys show me. So Tanya Brewer, 4391, hit me on social, or I will find a way how to find you. I see you in the comments a couple times, so I'll find a way to get that to you. Thank you again. Let's keep things going. Cool down segment before we close out the show. For those that are new, I saw a couple new people in the chat here. Cool down segment, man, is my take in track and field. In track, when you are finished your race or you're finished your practice, they always say, man, you got to cool down. And it's really just cooling down the body from the intensity of the workouts. And we would just, during that lap, we would be talking, we'd be laughing, we'd be cooling down as we're cooling down to end the show. So this is a segment, man, we talk about anything. We talk about stories. Doesn't even have to be boxing, Q&A questions, any other topics. Whatever questions that we have in these next, let's say, 7 to 10 minutes, this is where we talk about and touch base on it, man. You know, I saw real briefly, Matthias and Paro, it's not happening anymore. I thought that was going to happen, but came out and said that's not happening. So Matthias doesn't have an opponent right now when he was supposed to. So always interesting. All right, let's see. My man. Oh man, Alley Point, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. I really appreciate you, my guy. Much love, man. Much love as always, man. You were one of the first people when I started a channel, man. One of the first people to really continue to show love and support, man. So I really appreciate you, man. I really do. Jay, man, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, man. Joakim, you're good live. Oh, my man, appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. Again, you know, one of the things I wanted to do when I was making the channel, man, was I don't want to be boring. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I add and talk the way that I talk, you know, because if you're new to the channel, like my profession, what I do most is I'm a motivational speaker, right? So I take that same energy and that same flair and try to bring it in the sport, man, because again, I don't want to come and just talk like this and say this is going to be that. Nah, man, in life we have to be passionate about what we're talking about. And so, I want to really say, man, I appreciate this. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. As everybody, I appreciate all of you for taking the time to tune in, man. It's always love, man. Pablo, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate this, man. Appreciate all the generosity you guys continue to show. It's love. It's love. I really do appreciate it, man. Appreciate all of you. Thank you all for rocking with me, man. I really, really do appreciate it. Was it awkward for you being born in Jamaica but representing Canada and racing against the Jamaican team? Or was it that since you grew up in Canada, it wasn't an issue? My brother Francisco, man, in all honesty, I get way more love from Jamaica than I do in Canada to this day. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, I had the option because I have dual citizenship. I have Jamaican and I have Canadian. So I had the option of running for Jamaica. But once you run once for a national team, you can't really go back and forth like that. So for me, it was always love from both, always love from both. Anytime I'd see you saying both in a soft pal and those cats, it's always love. But that's the thing. I did get more love from Jamaica than I did in Canada, which is a weird situation, but didn't really think too much about it, man. Since I lived in Canada, I had no issues competing with them. I got love for Canada as well, too. But not awkward. Show respect and love for both, man. Jamaica is the birthplace, so it's always going to be the spot that is taking up my heart. You know what I'm saying? Tank turns down Conor Ben fight offer. Not surprised. Ben offers nothing. He's not even area level yet. Whatever Ben been taking, been getting to him. Yeah, I didn't think. I don't know, man. I didn't think Tank was going to take that fight. But then I've heard something about what's his name? He's a Garcia, Danny Garcia. Something about that being happened. That would be an interesting fight. And Ben going to 154. It would really only be interesting because Danny hasn't fought in how long? You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a money fight if that's the case. But Tank knocks out Ben. That fight doesn't go to the distance. That fight don't go to the distance. Did you meet any boxers or any athletes during the Olympics? Man, so 2012, I met Michael Phelps. Michael, that man can put away some food. That man can't eat. I was seeing Michael Phelps in the cafeteria. Man, he had pizza here. Look, whatever. I don't know if you guys seen the video of him when he is getting ready to train and what he eats post training, the pizzas and the spaghetti. No, that man really eats like that. But it was very interesting to see. Like, he's very quiet when I saw him. So I saw 2012. I saw him. I saw Gabby Douglas. She was the one before Simone Biles. Gabby Douglas was on top in 2012. I saw Carmelo Anthony. I saw Kobe, LeBron James, James Harden when he didn't have the beard. So I saw a bunch of those guys. Who else? I was trying to go to see the boxing in 2016. So that was a stat class as well too. Shakur was in that one. And I was trying to go see that fight, but the schedules, like, they're not conducive, right? Like, when boxing was going on, track was going on. So I couldn't go to the track because I had to prepare for my competition. Couldn't go to boxing, I had to prepare for my competition. And the seats that they give you are terrible. Oh, they're so bad, Chris. The seats are terrible. I remember watching the USA basketball gold medal game when it was USA and Spain. And we had asked for tickets like as soon as we got there. We're like, man, we want to go see it. Oh man, we were in the nosebleeds. Oh, we were so high. we were so high that that my man that I was with, Aaron Brown, Team Canada. Uh, Me and him went to the game, and he forgot his glasses, and we were so high. The tickets that we got, we were so high up in the stadium that he was watching it through his phone. He was zooming in through his phone. I was like, yo, I thought we were supposed to get first dibs. So yeah, man, bunch of different stories that we could tell, man. We know Ben is fighting Washa Danny Garcia next. It's what Ben does. I want Ben versus Barrios. Only fight I want. Give me Mario Barrios. El Azteca. El Azteca. Give me Mario Barrios. I like Barrios, man. I love Champ. Keep that work. You have 100K subs. You know, man, when that time comes, hey, when that time comes, you hear it now, man. We gonna have a celebration. We gonna have a celebration. We gonna find a way how to rent out a hall, and we gonna buy one of these fights. We gonna get some snacks. We gonna get some stuff. And everyone that has supported along the journey, man, when that does happen, I would love to see you there. Pablo, be you in Chile, Chris, you over in the UK. We're going to find a way to get everybody together when that happens, man, because again, you know, at the end of the day, man, this community is way more than just boxing for me. You know what I'm saying? So again, I appreciate all of you, man. And 100K sounds good, because when I grow, we all grow and we all become a part of it. You know, we're going to keep it pushing, man. So, you know, it's always love and appreciation from you, my brother. Always, always love. Have you thought about a career in sports commentating in the future? Man, I definitely did. I definitely thought about it, and it's something that I'm going to get into a little bit more. You know, I've done it on a couple things. You know, I was hoping that Canada would have brought me on to do commentary for some of the Olympics that's happening this year, especially in the track and field part. But, you know, sometimes things don't go out like that, you know, so creating my own different network to do it, you know, so one day, you know, if it's in God's will, man, you know, I'll definitely take that opportunity. But until then, you know, we just build and use this as practice as we move forward, man. So I appreciate that, man. We're going to work towards that. We'll see what God has in stores moving forward, man. So appreciate that, my man. I think you weren't born yet with Ben Johnson. Happened in 88. I remember being shocked that he blew away Carl Lewis, but then he tested positive. Man, it's so crazy in that race how, and I know a little bit more of like the intricacies of what all of those guys were taking, you know, because that was not a clean race for 90% of that race, man. There's been some things, my brother Francisco, that I've heard from credible sources, athletes that were in it, that, you know, they even saw Carl was on some, you know, was doing his stuff and stuff that was being covered up. So that was a crazy, crazy race because Ben made it look so effortless. And at the last 15 meters, he's putting his arm up like that, and he ran 9.7. I said, yo, that's crazy. You know, Ben is one of the freakiest athletes, and it doesn't help that he was on stuff, but when you take away the drugs from Ben, he was still a 9.9 guy, 9.9, 10.0. But, and he said this countless amount of times, he's a guy that doesn't change his words as well too. In a recent interview I saw about him a couple of years back, he said, Joe, all those guys were on stuff. And I just was the one that took the blame. I was the one that got caught, but they were all on stuff. So yeah, that was a crazy race, man. And Ben Johnson, to this day, my brother Francisco, he can't come to any Canadian track meets. Like they essentially took his name out, period. You know, so I get he did his wrong, get all of that, but man, at least let the man come in and watch some of the track meets. You know what I'm saying? So unfortunate events, you make the decision, you got to live with the consequence, man. Is what it is. Last couple questions before we get out with the quote of the week, man. I want to get everybody out of here on a good time, man. Why did you become a runner? You know, man, I was a dual sport athlete my whole life. It was between American football and track and field. And to be quite honest, like I never really wanted to do track and field, but my coach was just like, man, Akeem, if you run track, it'll get you faster for football. I'm not the smartest guy out there, but I know 1+1 =2. And so I had a lot of people very early on that told me, man, you're going to be in the Olympics one day. And I never really cared for that. It wasn't really a dream of mine. You know, I just wanted a way how to get my school paid for. I wanted a way how to make my situation better because in all transparency, we get into that another week, man. You know, the childhood in my growing up was very tough. It was very tough. And so for me, I was using sport as a gateway to say, man, I got to make my situation better. And so how I got into track and field and started doing that full time. So originally I signed to go to Florida State, but one of the maths that I took in the 9th grade, the collegiate system, NCAA didn't accept anymore. So I was ruled ineligible. So rather than staying home, my coach was just like, yo, you can go to a junior college. So I go to this junior college called Barden Community College in Great Bend, Kansas. Barden Community College is one of the most prestigious junior college track and field programs like in the history. I mean, they've got like 70 different Olympians, 10 medalists that went on to be that. And so this is like, you know, August time. And I didn't really do my due diligence and look where Barden Community College is. It's in a city called Great Bend, Kansas. For those watching, does that sound exciting? Absolutely not. Great Bend, Kansas is what you think it is. It's in the middle of nowhere, like nowhere. The most exciting thing in Great Bend, Kansas is Walmart. Like no joke. Like if somebody's going to Walmart, we're all trying to go to Walmart. So I didn't do my due diligence. I just knew if I stayed home that semester, it would have been a lot harder for me to go back to school. So I signed a letter of intent to go to Barton Community College. Didn't really look too much into it. So I got there, got on campus, and I'm like, yo, it's August, it's football time. So call my coach. I said, Coach, man, can't wait to start track and field in a little bit, but where is the football team? I want to walk on and try out for the football team. And he just paused. And he said, Akeem, Barton hasn't had a football team since 1978. I said, what? He's like, yeah, we don't have a football team. Oh, I hung up the phone. I was so hurt. I was like, dang. And so it was in that moment where I had a decision to make, Chris. Either, leave school and go back home and try to play football, or do I say, man, let me see how far that I can go in this track and field thing. And so for me, I made up in my mind right then and there that I was going to ride this thing out regardless of where it was. So I started taking track seriously in the 11th grade, but I really, really started rocking with it at that time in junior college, man. And I'm a person where when I make my commitment to something, it all steams ahead. No more complaints, no more nothing. We're going to rock with it. And, I'm glad that I stuck with it because it did pay dividends. It did get my school paid for. I was able to get a Puma contract from it, right? So things did work out in the end. Lights out. Much love as always, my brother, man. Good to see you again. Thank you again for tuning in, man. We're about to close out real soon here, man. So appreciate you for tuning in, my brother. It's always love. My brother Francisco, what you know about the CFL, man? What you know about the CFL? I got to go with the home team, Calgary Stampeders, man. That's the home team. I got to go with the hometown crowd, man. That's the squad right there, Stampeders, man. You got a squad in the CFL? For those that don't know, the CFL is the Canadian Football League. That's funny, man. But look, let's close out the live. Again, if you are new to the live, we close it out with the quote of the week. If you are not new to the live, then you know how we get down. So this week's quote of the week: great things happen to those who don't stop believing, trying, learning, and being grateful. Man, I've been thinking about gratitude a whole lot this week, man. You know, I think so many times it's very easy in the grindstone of life as we're working towards certain goals and tasks to take the day to day for granted, to take the things in front of us for granted, and we aren't grateful for it. We lose excitement for it. It reminds me of this story. I'll share this story real quick. And this goes on the sense, specifically the believing, the trying, and the learning part. It's a little funny story. So, heard this story a long time ago, man. There was this donkey, right? And this donkey somehow got trapped in this well. And so the donkey is in this well and it's screaming and it's making all this noise, all this sound because, it got stuck into the well. He wants to get out of the well. And so the owner of the donkey wakes up out of his sleep and he's trying to find out, what is that sound? Where is that sound coming from? So the owner gets up out of the house, puts his pants, his shoes, his boots on, and he's walking and he's moving, and he realizes that his donkey is stuck inside of the well, and he's thinking the same thing that we're all thinking. How'd you get stuck in the well? How'd you get stuck in the well? And so the donkey was a little bit older, right? But the owner is thinking, man, how do I get this thing out of the well? He didn't have any rope, didn't have a ladder, didn't have anything to really get out of it. And so he spends like 2 days trying to figure out a plan, like, how do I get this donkey out of this well? Eventually he said, Joe, the donkey's old anyway. Like it's getting a little bit older. I've had it for a while. I can't really see how I'm going to be able to get this thing out of the well. So I'm going to wash my hands with it and it's going to be over with. So what he started to do was the owner started to take dirt and throw it in the well. And so he was taking the dirt and throwing it in the well because he was like, man, I have to close up this well anyway. And if I can't get the donkey out, then I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So for 7 minutes straight, he's just digging and throwing, digging and throwing, digging and throwing. And all of a sudden, other people are coming in and asking like, yo, what's going on? And they're digging and they're helping, they're digging and they're helping. And then all of a sudden they look down and this donkey is getting closer and closer and closer to the top. And so what was happening was each time that they were digging the dirt and throwing into the well, donkey was just shaking it off, was just shaking it off and moving closer to the top. He was shaking the dirt off and standing aside, standing on top of what they were throwing each and every single time. And eventually the donkey got to the top of that tunnel, that well, and he just walked off. And he just walked off and he set himself free. So it was just a reminder that if that donkey stopped believing that he could get out, if he stopped trying to get out, if he stopped learning that I got to step aside and I can step back on this dirt and it's going to build and build and build and build. If he would have stopped believing that he couldn't get out of that well, he wouldn't have got out of that well. And so it's just a reminder, man, that every single day, regardless of the situation, regardless of what may come your way, even though it may be tough and challenging, great things can happen if you don't stop believing, trying, learning, and being grateful in the moment as you're working towards the great things that God has for you, man. So that's the quote of the week this week. I hope it was an encouragement to you. I hope it's something that can be an encouragement as you continue finishing up this week. Again, I want to thank each of you, man, for taking the time to tune in with me, to rock with me on a Tuesday. It's always love and appreciation from each of you, man. I don't take your eyes, your ears for granted. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the rest of your night. Sleep well. Keep the faith. Keep the strength. Stay encouraged. God bless all of you, man. We'll definitely see you same time next week.